back there we've got Kim James from Aerial Works, who's going to be presenting most of today. We have David LaRue from Pilot Insure, that's going to be after Kim. There we go, Mr. Famous David. And I've got some colleagues from the IACO team, and I've got some distinguished guests at the back there in their wheelies, which I'm going to show you some stuff just now as well. So thank you very much for coming through. I'm just going to go through just some brief information around IACO and EOH and drones, what we really do with drones. Not really around the actual drones themselves, but more around airspace management. Then I'm going to give you a quick update on the drone bursary pilot program that we ran from June last year. And then I'm going to hand over to Kim, who's going to go through some of the regulatory operating environments, some of the case studies, what they've seen, and also the future, where we're going to from here. And then we're going to hand over to David to look at building of the aviation community. Then we're going to do a quick wrap up, and then we're going to move through to the atrium for some networking. So just a little bit about me. So I joined EOH or IACO in 2015. I'm a key account manager within the IACO digital space, and I'm also the drone tech lead for the EOH group. So everything drone, people come to me and ask, do we do this, do we do that, what about this, etc., etc. I was also a contributor of the UTM research paper that was done by AIFE, and Kim as well in the back there. I'm a director of Handicapped Scuba Crew. You might have seen my Christmas tree car outside. And I came up with an idea last year to try and transform the aviation industry. And I created a bursary program for pilots with disability. And then I'll go through a bit of that just now. I'm also a private helicopter pilot out of Grand Central. Back in the day, 2013 is when I qualified. And then I started getting into the drone side of things, and I started learning via YouTube how to fix them. I actually bought 7 drones that were on auction from the gadget shop that closed down. And I took those drones, I looked on YouTube, and I fixed all of them, and I've sold some, and I'm still using some today. So I haven't had the chance of doing my commercial license, like Luigi in the back there. Hi, Luigi. But at some stage, I'd love to do my commercial pilot's license. And then, of course, my adaptive scuba is really the heartbeat of my life, giving people with a disability the opportunity to go and dive in the sea, which just floats my boat. So IACO and drone technology, 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, we signed a strategic alliance with Altitude Angel. And really this is around how do we bring and transform the aviation industry from a digital perspective, so digital transformation. And if you think about the building blocks of IACO Digital, all the way from your journey to the cloud, so where do we put all of this data in the cloud, through to custom software development. If you've used some of the MTN apps that's developed by IACO through and through. So what applications can you develop around this aviation industry? Then we've got data analytics. We all know data analytics is the heart of the business right now. Data is the new gold. And how do you take and mine that information to make the airspace safe is a really key point to note. Intelligent automation. How do we automate things within the aviation industry? At the moment, when you're doing flight plans, you fill out a flight plan and you send it off via file to fly, or in our days, you used to fill it out and put it into the fax machine and fax it through, if you remember those days. So how do we automate that process? And through the functionality that Altitude Angel actually has at the moment, and it's just been released in the UK. I don't know if you've seen the news where they're actually using Altitude Angel for flight plan approval process through and through, which is really great. Quality assurance. So once you've got these applications running, how do you test them efficiently and with a load bear? So if you've got 100,000 users using a piece of software, how can you actually test that properly without it being in a live situation? And then security. We all know security and data security is key nowadays, and that's the wrapper of the onion, the diamond onion, if you want to call it that. How do you secure this data and make sure people have access to the right information at the right time? So that's why IOCA Digital partnered with Altitude Angel to really complement what they have for the markets. So these are some of our partners that we've dealt with in the past. Obviously, Aerial Works, Kim's going to be speaking just now. AIFE from a research perspective. IBM we've had partnerships with. The Yes for Youth group in Alex. We actually took a whole lot of our furniture and we actually put our furniture into the Alex Youth Center when we closed a lot of our buildings through COVID. Tristan Group as well. Nextech is our industrial technology group within EOH. And the center here, unfortunately, we've had to turn the screens off. Otherwise, you're going to be watching all the screens and not the main screen. But it's around industrial technology and managing buildings, water, etc. NTSU Aviation is the ATO that actually trained our drone pilots. And we're very good friends with Sam Twala. Most of you probably know Sam Twala. And he's got Drone Logbook, which is really great from a automation and digital transformation perspective for the ROCs. And we've got Aerial Works who are actually running that software at the moment. And there are others coming as well. And obviously our friends at the CAA that just love us sometimes and hate us at other times. So this is Altitude Angel. I'm just going to show you a short video on exactly what the future might look like for South Africa with Altitude Angel and other software out there that's actually running.
In the 1800s, the rail network expansion fueled significant industrial growth. Connecting towns and naval ports together brought revolutionary efficiencies to the movement of goods and people, spawning entirely new industries and businesses. Today, we begin the next industrial and commercial revolution: automated flight. The Skyway system establishes a network of superhighways up to 10 kilometers wide, with the first main route spanning 265 kilometers between Reading and Coventry. Soon, time-sensitive transportation of medical items and organs, fire, medical, and police scenarios, as well as the delivery of high-value, low-volume goods, can start to be moved by automated drone, unlocking the vast potential of drones to transform lives and revolutionize business. Skyway has safety and privacy at its core. Powerful sensors on the ground looking up detect crewed and uncrewed aviation traffic and create a real-time moving map of the sky above, which is relayed to the Skyway controller in the cloud, where it is used to provide automated air traffic control for drones flying on the superhighway, preventing collisions. Drones can enter or exit the Skyway anywhere along the route, bringing access to millions of businesses and citizens. Automated flight, anywhere and for everyone. Just imagine.
So imagine that for South Africa. Automated flights. Yes, it's coming a few years from now, hopefully. I wanted to just put this on the screen, and this is one of the diagrams that came out of the research paper around the ecosystem. Because it's not about one player, it's about all the different players coming together as a collaborative effort to drive that economy within South Africa. As you'll see, we've got government bodies. We've got our intervention like UNICEF, which we are busy with. They, as you know, they've done quite a lot of sponsorship in terms of drone corridors in Africa and the world. And there's big negotiation going on at the moment with the South African working group around putting drone corridors, especially down in the Western Cape, as a test sandbox environment. Because we don't really know what the UTM environment feels like until you're actually in it. So very important to have those guys on board. The educational institutes, UCT, Stellenbosch, all of the major universities are jumping on board in terms of drone technology and educating students and starting to create courses within their curriculum to actually drive the drone economy. We've got our commercial drone operators. That's a little bit old in terms of 75. I think we're close on 90, 95 at this stage. And you'll most probably know the Western Cape government being the most prominent government organization using drones for rescue. There's been some proof of concepts around delivering water and food to people on the mountain they can't get to on the first day. So at least giving them survival kits to get them through the night for the second day rescue. And then using lights on drones to actually light the way for the rescuers to walk up the mountains. I mean, the opportunities are endless. Definitely full industry cooperation like ourselves. We've got the likes of the mines in terms of Anglo and Sasol, as you know, Eskom, Transnet, all using technology to try and safeguard critical infrastructure. We've got our manufacturers, lots of manufacturers out there, bringing in new drones, new delivery drones, eVTOLs, etc., and then really around the skills. So women in drones, flying labs, etc. But everyone trying to cooperate and collaborate together to drive this ecosystem. Just an update on our bursary program for people with a disability. So last year, June, July, we put out this advert on LinkedIn and started spreading the news, looking for some candidates for the bursary program. I didn't really know what I was going to do once I found these people and how I was going to fund it. But then I went to Melisha, Venetia, and Elmarie from our EOH group and told them about my idea. And they jumped on board to drive this program from a transformation perspective. So really, I call them my superwoman of EOH, because they really, really are. We consulted with Edwina Magamata. She runs a company that supplies consumables through the RAF for people with a disability that have been injured on the road. Obviously, I'd met Kim, the aka a drone chick, on LinkedIn. And when I told her about it, we aligned and our hearts were in the same place. And then we had met Sam as well. And from a training perspective, we knew he was the right person to be able to train these students. These are just some pictures of the guys operating from when they were doing their license to us being at one of the, what was that? There was the Nasrec Expo, the Career Expo. Sandile out there flying. We've got Fadi, who was out at the Bree Street explosions a few weeks ago, out on site. Those are some of our students. And at the bottom right, you can actually see Fadi and Sandile working in the R&D division of Aerial Works. And as you'll notice, Sandile is actually lying down. And it was quite awesome to see. He actually lay down on his bed in the middle of that field to do his pilot's license test, because that's how he feels more comfortable. So really, really cool. So these are our first 2 commercial drone pilots with a disability in South Africa. And I'm pleased to announce that Aerial Works has employed them full-time. And that was the reason why we wanted to do the program, was to actually get them employed in the industry. We see a lot of the times people are pushing people through these drone pilot programs, and at the end of it, they have to go and do something else. They don't have a job. And it's a problem because the industry and the workload hasn't caught up yet for those people. So well done, Fadi and Sandile. You guys make us very proud. And now I'm going to hand over to Kim James.
Good morning, everybody. This pillar here is a bit weird. Okay. I didn't really know what to do about that because I've been told to stand here, so I don't know. Okay. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see my pilot insure socks because this is my little party trick. So when I'm trying to be serious and people see me wearing these socks, thanks to David, I just need to call it out so you don't, you see? Oh, matchy. So, thank you so much, Dean, for organizing today. We've been doing these safety sessions repeatedly, actually. David will tell you more about what he does in a moment. But we are trying to educate the general aviation industry about how, at this point in time, airspace, oh, hi. Airspace is not yet systematically integrated. But with the prevalence of drones and there being more and more drones sharing airspace, education is paramount. And so David's probably heard my little chat about 15,000 times. Suffice to say, every time we can reach one crewed aviator and one drone pilot who understands the safety challenges, I believe we're making our skies safer. So I'm always humbled when I'm in the presence of aviators, true aviators. So let me just quickly, by a show of hands, who is a fixed wing crewed pilot? 1, 2, okay. Chopper pilot. Okay. Ooh. Drone pilot. Wow, okay. Ooh, okay, so commercial drone pilot. Okay, we have everything here. Okay, so I apologize up front for anything that I might say that's going to be like to the heart. It's the whole point, okay? So awareness. So here we go. All right. I'm going to tell you 3 things today. Dean's already put that on his little program. For those of you who, well, almost everybody put up their hands, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the regs. Generally, when we go to the flying schools where they're all the young'uns, they have no idea. So when I talk about the regulations, they're like, wow, I thought you just moved this thing in the air and like everything's fine. So I'm probably going to skip over that quite quickly. I'm going to tell you how it is in reality, in the field, from a drone operator perspective. Because then the crewed world can understand what we do, how we do it, and where we do it. And then I'm going to touch briefly on what's happening now from a safety perspective and what potentially will happen in the future. Dean actually kind of introed it very nicely, so I won't even have to go into too much detail. So very briefly, you guys all know from a uncrewed space, anything at this point in time which is for profit, interest, or gain, and this is where we have nice sports on some of the Facebook groups where people try and define gain or interest. So if I'm going to monetize my YouTube channel versus, doing my little inspection or photograph of my friend's warehouse, what is the definition of it? The point is, profit, interest, or gain, we've got to be registered. So we have to have an air services license, even though we don't transport people, don't really know what that's all about. We have to have a Part 101 operating certificate. Our drone pilots have to be registered, and our drones have to be registered. And so that seems really easy. That whole process takes about 2.5 years. And the CAA comes and inspects us every year. And if they think we've behaved and we've ticked all the boxes and we've done everything we say we're going to do and we've been safe, then we get the privilege of operating for another year. And essentially at this point, the crewed aviation world from a regulatory perspective was copied and pasted. So they still talk about hangars for our drones. Like, where's the hangar where you keep your drones? Things like that. And then from an operational safety perspective, how do we operate in controlled airspace? And so we've already touched on that. We fill in a form. It goes to the Central Airspace Management Unit. Some human looks at it. And then it gets sent to the CAA and another human looks at it. And sometimes we can get the permission to fly very quickly, and other times 72 hours, Depends. We want to operate in prohibited or restricted airspace, add another 3 layers. So all of that allows us to operate. Okay. Now, this is assuming that we're talking about commercial operators who know what they're doing. Well, they should. Most of them do. There's also that whole element of the hobbyists that kind of think that they can buy their macro special, which is true, and that they can just see its technical range. I saw how high it can fly and how far it can fly. That is very different to what our regulations say we can do. What we do with those hobbyists, big question mark, have no idea. These 2 gentlemen here have a plan, so that's very good. Airspace integration, a categorization model as opposed to our current certification model might actually be the answer. But I can't speak to the hobbyists right now, except for they have drones in your airspace too, and they don't know what they're doing. But I can speak today from the challenges even with a commercial drone operator who does know what they're doing. Okay, so you've got to assume that as a commercial drone operator who's going to be operating in your airspace that you're sharing with them, they can operate during the day and the night. Not all of them, we can. Most would want to. It's a process. You have to demonstrate safety and your ability to do that to the CA, and then they'll give you that certification. During the night and during the day, in controlled airspace and uncontrolled airspace, beyond visual line of sight, which means pilot here, drone somewhere there, where the drone pilot is basically flying on instruments, and they can't see and avoid. Okay, so that's the challenge. And then you need to assume that the organization has the safety protocols in place to actually operate against that. Okay, so how does this look in reality? So oftentimes we specifically work in the security space, so we basically try and address crime. Just a quick kind of side note, we don't reduce crime, we just move it away from the site we're protecting. So that's my secret marketing strategy. So when this client pays me and we go and clear crime from there, then the neighbor calls to say, what are you doing? Now their crime's gone up. So it's a ripple effect. The point is oftentimes we have to deploy quickly. When there's a criminal situation or a suspicious situation, they may just call the drone team out to a spot to say, surveil this area. So in controlled airspace or even in special rules areas, we're in that airspace. We didn't know we were going to be there 5 minutes before. So if it's in controlled airspace, we ordinarily have those permissions set to repeat. Permanent NOTAMs, we'll touch on that in a second. When we talk about integrated operation, literally it says sometimes as rudimentary. Is this little thingy working? May not be, okay. As a head of security looking over a drone pilot's shoulder. And the reason I show some of this is because in drone operations, in security specifically, the drone pilot has to be thinking about airspace they're in, but they're also thinking about the criminals they're either identifying or pursuing or whatever. So human factors is a huge, huge part of what we do. And so most times we have dual drone crews, so we have an assistant, because these guys are operating an airband radio and a two-way radio. And oftentimes that two-way radio in a pursuit is going mad. And Douglas over here is a security specialist, and we were in a workshop the other day laughing but crying out of fear for how those communications on the ground sometimes happen. So again, human factors, huge thing. This is, again, law enforcement, working off the tops of buildings in city center. So the previous photos were around a mine, Generally, we don't see much traffic there, although we do on the linear structures, because why? Crewed aviators use linear structures as reporting points or navigation points. And these scenarios are about staking out. So I use some of this when we talk about why fully autonomous operations in security are still, I don't really know how that's going to work yet. Because it's this kind of thing where hold, we're actually dynamically looking at what's going on, and that brigadier or the colonel is going, okay, now go in, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of dynamic law enforcement goodies. From a drone operator perspective, we will often work at night in the dark because we want to protect ourselves. So again, human factors. Are we hearing a helicopter? Are we hearing a fixed wing aircraft? Because this is what the drone pilot is seeing. They are covert because they don't want to attract attention to themselves. And this is basically what you would see sometimes. And this is a cone of silence, right? Oh no, we're being recorded. Okay. We've got to fly with lights on, okay? But you know what I mean. So always, yeah. Let me just go back here. So we do automated flight already, but autonomous flight, not yet. And what's the difference? An automated flight is where we set waypoints, but from a regulation perspective, we still have to operate within the parameters of having a drone pilot in control of this drone. Okay, so they will know exactly where this drone is operating, and this would kind of be an example. So it will follow a path, and why do we do that? It would be around ensuring linear structure coverage. You want to make sure that with the field of view, you're covering certain perimeters, etc. This over here is now a manual pursuit or a surveillance of a riot situation or whatever. So these are retrospectively downloaded flights. So you can see, it starts off with we're patrolling a perimeter, and then all of a sudden, they have to now take manual control. And that is what they see. This is in the dark of night. Again, hand in front of face, can't see, but that's the thermal camera. And so from a human factors perspective again, now they're in pursuit, and these guys are waiting. This happened the other day, a few weeks ago, on one of our sites. They're waiting for their pickup vehicle. There's a security scenario going on. There's a pursuit. The security guards have now taken that pickup vehicle out of the scenario. These guys have gone to their meeting point. The pickup vehicle's not there, and they're confused. This is a new site. These guys are crazy, like they don't know what's going on. I've got another video of like the next night where they started throwing stones at the drone, etc. But right now, when this is going on, that pilot is not listening. They should be, and they are, but possibly not going to hear a crewed aircraft overhead. So do we know of each other? So anyway, this is, I have many of those video clips. So how are we operating in each other's airspace? Now that you know what we do and how it looks and where our drone pilots are standing, whether it's in a city center or whether it's out in a mine or a field or a nature reserve or what have you. So what I've done is I've put this little slide together which basically talks about crewed fixed wing, crewed helicopters, uncrewed. So we have representation of everyone here, okay? So you'll know where you stand. So what is the regulation? Essentially, you guys in the crewed space can come down to 500 foot, all right? We can generally, by regulation, go up to 400 foot. There's a 100-foot separation. But nothing's separating us except for us knowing we're operating on that level. What is 100 foot in meters?
33.
Not enough, right? Definitely not enough. Okay, so what is the deviation to that? Okay, near an aerodrome, takeoff, landing. We've operated at Emperor's Palace, literally next to OR Tambo. I've never schwitzed so much in my life that day, and our transponder wasn't being picked up. I think we were too close and too low or whatever. So crewed fixed wing, probably approach or takeoff or whatever. Crewed helicopters, where are my law enforcement friends here? Law enforcement, EMS. Do we have any EMS people here? No, okay. Trackers. You can operate low level, right? How low level?
Very low.
Right. And the regulations say, as long as you're safe and not a nuisance. Okay, all right. The deviation for uncrewed in our scenario is we are certified to operate up to 1,000 foot. Ne? My friends over here, they're like, oh. So now can we see this challenge here? So the reality is with fixed wing, generally, we don't really meet each other. On mines where we have linear structures like the conveyor belts, we do meet each other. But we have some commercial pilots, fixed wing pilots who work for us who know the deal, and that site we work on, we know now to communicate and we know what to expect. Crewed helicopters, again, we're talking about 500 foot, 400 foot, that's kind of the reality. So what do we do? What's the mitigation at this point in time? Because there's nothing separating us except for our knowledge and the regulations, but hello. Education. These sessions like this, so thanks to everybody who hosts these and who listens to my chatter and reads my posts. Crewed helicopters, I mean, the reality is operate higher, but with law enforcement, is that possible? You know, that's the mitigation. We can operate lower and you guys can operate higher. And then for us, visual, listen out, broadcast more often. And the thing that we talk about is broadcast, 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 broadcast. That's all we can do. Because here's the reality. We really, and I think that's kind of one of my closing messages, is we really only can speak to each other like within a 3K radius, right? If you're broadcasting from 10K away, I'm not going to hear you until sometimes you're right on top of us. So what are you likely to meet in the sky? So this is a nice little, oh, this TV thingy's got stripies on. Okay, this is an M30 that we operate. We've replaced most of our other fleet now. This is the latest and greatest, which the US first responders and firefighters and law enforcement peeps use. This is 4 kilograms. Okay, in the sky, you can't really see it, it's gray. I don't know, it kind of just disappears. Its big daddy, predecessor, was 9 kgs. You don't want to have this meet you in the sky. It's about this big, okay? So this puppy over here is the latest and greatest in that. It's called a Mavic 3. So this one's baby, it's like flat like this. It weighs 1 kilo. And my understanding is, I may be corrected, but the perspex windshields of helicopters and fixed wing aircraft, like Cessnas or whatever, can withstand 1 kilogram. So now I'm flying and you're flying, it's not going to be pretty, even in a tail rotor. And then that's not even talking about the fixed wings, which are like now they're in the 20 kilogram or whatever range. So that's what you likely, not likely, but you could meet. Okay, so our little case studies, just in terms of what actually happens, because even though we really know what we're doing and 2 of our directors are actual aviators, and we know what we're doing, we operate on very high levels from a safety perspective, stuff still happens. So first case study is crop sprayer cowboy meets UAV and humans. Second case study, chopper incursion at FAP 68. Who knows what that is? David has a prize for you if you get it right. I'm giving away David's socks again. Then ATC forgets about UAS on Pine Dean VFR route. And Bree Street near midair. Okay. So very quickly, I was actually there. It was me that was the human, crop spraying, peeps around us. Everyone's on the radio. We're working there with Agricultural Research Council. I'm in the middle of the field with these clever professors doing their testing, and we're doing the aerial stuff. And this crop sprayer decides he was not supposed to be there that day, but he is there that day. And I'm in the middle of the field with one of the scientists, and this guy does 2 passes and literally comes down so low. This is me turning around, like literally looking where he is, and that is him essentially almost taking his head off. I can't show you the video because it has many expletives, but essentially that was me. We hit the deck, equipment broken, and this guy was like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys were on the radio." Yeah, so that happened. Even though we were on the radio and even though he was supposed to be on the radio and not supposed to be there. So what's the evasive action that the drone pilots are taught when there's something that's in your space? What's the evasive action? Descend. Is that what you're taught? He was underneath the drone. Cannot descend. So experienced drone pilot up and to the side. That's what happened. Okay, that is FAP 68. That is our route planning. Don't read that. Basically, suffice to say, we had all the permissions in place. ATC knew we were there. You have to go through all sorts of stuff to be able to get permission to operate there. Night ops, what happens? Through the FAP. Are you allowed to fly through the FAP? Is anyone allowed to fly through a prohibited area? But this oak did. Literally what we think looked like below the drone. What do you think ATC did? We cleared him out of OR Tambo. It's his responsibility. He should have flown around. We think it's a tracker. It was a tracker helicopter. Suffice to say that was a Mursa incident because we stopped ops that night because they were chasing cars or something. Okay, who can tell me what this is? The last session we were at that had a lot of young commercial pilots had no idea what this is. I was very worried. Why isn't this working? Okay, guys, what is that? Okay, this is all your airspaces. Wonderworm, Vaderkloof, OR Tambo, Grand Central. Okay, you guys know this, right? What's that?
Pine Dean route.
Pine Dean VFR route. Who knows why the Pine Dean VFR route is in existence? Okay, you win a pair of... Because it's all these airspaces. So pilots used to fly through all that airspace and it gets complicated. So it's to avoid all of that airspace. So it's to fly west, east. So, and what does that Pine Dean VFR route actually say? Max altitude 6,000 foot. Okay. So we were operating there, this is an incident basically, operating in midstream, doing a Gauteng-based Sunroll roundabout inspection. Literally hover the drone 120 meters for 90 minutes. Okay, battery changes in between. Just taking footage of cars being idiots because we can't navigate roundabouts in South Africa, which is the whole project. So, Vaderkloof knew about us because we had to get flexible use of airspace. Made contact. Okay, you're good to fly. We were operating at like 5,300 foot. Now we're on the radio, and ATC clears helicopters at 6,000 and below. What do you think they're flying at? Drone, helicopter. So we were like, dude, we're here. Oh, sorry. Now he's back on the radio. Sorry, guys. Drones in the area, avoid. So ATC forgot about us, basically. The point is that air traffic controllers are still learning as well. It's new to them as well. Some ATCs don't like drones at all, too complicated. Okay, this was literally a few weeks ago. That is offending item over there. Okay, our drone is not in this picture, but it's probably somewhere there. And, oh, it was here. Oh yeah, that's true, sorry, yes. From the other way around, yes, it's there. So we had all the permissions in place, everything's done, we're not even operating at high level. So Fadi was there. The next thing, this helicopter comes over, literally over that like 1 kilometer stretch, and then comes on the radio and goes, low-level operations going to be taking place. It's like, dude, you weren't going to give us a bit of warning? So had the interaction, and they were like, well, sorry guys, we're operating here. And we were like, well, so are we. So what are we going to do about this? So we had to go lower and they had to go higher. Well, actually, we landed. The point is, over the operating area already, kind of as an afterthought, let's comms. That in the definition of a near mid-air is literally because if you're closer than 500 foot from each other and you don't know about each other, that's a near mid-air. So that would have been deemed by the FAA description as a near mid-air. Needless to say, my nerves. Okay, so where are we now and what is going to happen in the future? This little thingy here is kind of a description of what, or a depiction of what a UTM might look like. What is UTM? Dean shared a very nice depiction of a ecosystem, but we talk about an unmanned traffic management system, or use space, or drone corridors, or something like that. So that's kind of introing where we are. Right now, as you've seen and as you've heard, this is not going to go away. Drones are going to become more prevalent. Airspace is going to become fuller. And we got to play nice. Even in controlled airspace, ATCs are still learning. And they get busy. And now this thing is here, and it's in their way, and it's annoying, and they can't see us. And they have to sanitize the airspace around us. So we make very sure, as an operator that we are, that we get to know them, we thank them. We teach our guys, you thank them for accommodating us in their airspace. Broadcast, and we have to think for others. You have to think for us, we have to think for you. So next time, if we're in a disaster or post-disaster environment, I'm going to know there's going to be helicopters there. But, you know, it's about preempting, I guess. Very briefly, you guys will know this. There are over 200 NOTAMs right now giving an indication that there are RPAS operations across South Africa. And it increases every day. Over 200. Who checks NOTAMs every time they plan a flight? Hands, please, very quickly. Okay, so there are ways, like these two gentlemen over here, that there are platforms that we as drone operators have that we can check for NOTAMs. Unlike the manual system in the CAA website, which is, you need a degree to navigate. But unless someone's checking a NOTAM, You won't know the operation is there, but we are required to file a NOTAM. The next thing, of course, that's complicated is when we are in our permanent operations and we have renewed our NOTAM 3 times, we're not allowed to file another NOTAM. We have to file it in an AIC. Who checks AICs every time they plan a flight? Anybody? Do you see how manual this is? It's not lekker. Okay, so what is the future? And this is my last slide. I'm finishing off now. So unmanned traffic management is the future. And in a broad sense, it is a systematic way of separating us. So we don't have to think about, oh, where am I now? Who's here? How am I going to avoid? ADSB apparently by 2025 is going to be mandatory. We already have ADSB in our drones. That means on a screen, we can see other aircraft around us, but we don't have ADSB out, which means no one can see us. Transponders will become mandatory as well for all drones. In fact, I think for all aircrafts, mode S? Mode Charlie, okay. In OR Tambo, they've already decided this is too dangerous. In OR Tambo CTR, we cannot operate unless we have a transponder. So they've decided that. Too much traffic, too dangerous, too risky. You gotta have a transponder. But now you have a little Baba Mavic. Now you're gonna put a 50 grand transponder on there. Most operators won't be able to do it. With the VTOLs and with beyond visual line of sight, the CAA now is insisting on detect and avoid technology because we can't see and avoid. So how do we detect and avoid? What is the automatic or systematic avoidance maneuver if a drone comes near or almost head to head with another aircraft? And then always, no matter what systems you have, be vigilant. Broadcast. Please connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't already, Kim James Drones. Thank you for listening. Thanks for smiling. I did see some acknowledgements, and I'm open to any questions. Thank you very much.
All right, my name's David LaRue. I'm from a company called Pilot Insure. I've met a few of you around, I'm sure, Henley Air, I remember meeting. All right, and it's good to see you all here. I'm an insurance professional. I do marketing and sales for an insurance company. Now, what the heck would I be doing at a safety meeting talking to drone pilots and commercial pilots and other pilots? It's a good question. It's a good question. And how I got here is also a good story. And I'd be happy to sit down and tell any one of you about it. Doug's already come to see me last week and we had a nice long chat and talked about history and all that kind of stuff. So what do I do here? I build a business, and to build that business, we find that we need to build the industry. We need to lift people up around us to basically serve our own needs, but we have to do it. We're not doing that in isolation. We have to do it with mindfulness. We have to broadcast our message and to build the aviation community around us. And the more we build all the fundamental bits of an aviation community, the stronger the whole unit becomes. I mean, if you look at any established aviation industry around the world, they've all got strong supporting sub-industries. So the Air Force is going to be strong. The general aviation unit is going to be strong. The drone side is going to be strong. There's going to be all of those things build all feed into one overarching aviation industry. And that's really my message, is I want to do my part in bringing people together, educating, and making sure that the industry as a whole it grows. So that's my game. The end. Jokes. That's my company, Pilot Insure. What we do not insure aircraft. We do not insure drones. We insure pilots. Okay, so you'll be surprised how many times we get asked to insure a 210 or a DJI Mavic or anything like that. I have to, fortunately, I've got a good network of people that I can refer those inquiries to. But our bread and butter is insurance of pilots, making sure that you as a pilot are occupationally and correctly insured. Not that you only have substandard insurance products that for many years the insurance companies didn't understand. The underwriters didn't understand what it means to need a commercial or a class 1 medical to operate in your job. Isn't that right? They didn't understand, the difference between a class 1, class 2 or class 3 or class 4 medical and how those relate to each other and how they allow and enable you to do your jobs. So Pilot Insure came along, and obviously with just crewed aviation, we're still building into the uncrewed aviation side of things. That's why I'm here. I believe it's the future. So we came along and helped the underwriters understand that, yes, you've got airline pilots and you've got contract pilots and you've got a range of different pilots, but the risk isn't so different from an airline pilot to an instructor at Wonderboom. The actual occupational risk is really like, is this person going to be able to operate their job tomorrow? And if not, can you pay them a lump sum of money to ensure that they can look after themselves? And the risk from an airline pilot down to an instructor at Wonderboom Airport or at Rand Airport actually isn't that different. What the perceived risk is, the accidents and the danger of flying. And that's like such a small percentage of the actual risk profile. And we've helped them realize that the real risk is health factors. It's diabetes, it's epilepsy, it's, physical impairments. It's those kinds of things or illnesses, really. It's really just illness that is the deciding factor. And that was one of the many steps that we went through to be able to convince an underwriter to say, all right, not only the SAA guys can have loss of license, we'll give nationwide loss of license. Okay, cool. That's a good step in the right direction, but so we've systematically expanded their horizon to go from airline pilot to contract pilot bombing around in a 1900D in Somalia to a King Air 200 going from Grand Central to Madikwe, all the way down to a flight instructor at Wonderboom Airport, even to gliding and microlight and paragliding instructors. We've managed to expand that risk or that pool of understanding of how aviators work. And I'll be very happy to announce that we also insure Unmanned Aerial Systems pilots too, because you people all need a class 3 medical to operate. So we've managed to copy and paste, like Kim's talking about copying and pasting regulations. We've managed to help them convince copy and pasting the risk profiling and the risk criteria that we use to insure airline and crewed aviation pilots, all the way down to pilots that operate in the dark, in the back of a bakkie, looking at a screen, in those crazy environments as well. So that's a little bit about Pilot Insure. We also are very quickly, I'm going to tell you, we are a full services, financial services company. We do retirement planning, estate planning, offshore investments, offshore bank accounts, all that kind of stuff. And we aren't just your ordinary ABC broker. We understand you as an aviator. Okay. Right. So just giving you a bit of outline of what I really want to talk about, and I've already touched on a couple of these things already today, but our motivation of building the aviation industry, the Pilot Insure story, which I've touched on a little bit now already. How do we market ourselves and get out to people and to get our message out there? How do we broadcast? We do that via events. That's my thing. I really just love getting out there, spending the weekend at an airfield, doing what I love, which is talking to people and talking on stages like this and educating and connecting and referring and, you know, building relationships and all that kind of stuff. So that's how we do that. And then I got a very quick story about Alex, the aspiring drone pilot. Kim's heard that story. It was about a normal crewed pilot, but I've adapted the story to hopefully commit to touch on, connect with you guys as unmanned or uncrewed pilots. Very quickly, this is some of the events, well, one of the events that I'm heavily involved with, and that's the President's Trophy Air Race. President's Trophy Air Race, I think you guys, most of you would have learnt about or heard about it by now, but it's actually the oldest running air race in the world. It was established in 1937, and it was used to be called the Governor's Air Race, and then became the State President's Air Race, and in 1994 became the President's Trophy Air Race, and I'm very honored to be the main coordinator of building the marketing out around it and actually organizing the event. So just kind of showing you some of the brands and some of the people that we get involved with that we pull in to help fund these events and help put them together, help basically build, and obviously it's a win-win. I mean, we get them to showcase their goods and services at these events to a specific audience, and we get the audience to benefit by, giving away things like Century Avionics prizes. We've given away 2 Garmin D2X10 watches already this year. Insurance discounts at ARC, printing, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think if you've got a company and you feel like getting involved with supporting the aviation industry, we're a brand that can help you get your brand into the aviation industry. So, I mean, that's just a little bit about what we do on the event side. And like I said, I mean, the more we try to get our brand out there, and the more we try to build the aviation industry, the more these other brands kind of just get swept up in it. So it's all quite fun. All right. So this is the winner of the 2022 President's Trophy Air Race. Douglas, you can't answer this question. Does anyone know what aircraft that is? Who can tell me? So its registration is obviously Zulu Sierra November X-Ray Golf. This particular aeroplane, this picture actually doesn't do it any justice. It's a really beautiful fixed-wing aeroplane. And these 2 guys are Stefan Lombard and Martins Marais, flying out of the Letaba Flying Club. Guys that we've managed to build a very good relationship with. And just as a quick question, for a pair of socks, who can name this aircraft? What type of aircraft is it? Who's the manufacturer? Let's start there. And then if you can give me the variation, then we can go from there.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
But I'll take the socks.
I like that. I like the fact that you so brazenly would ask that, but no, sorry. It's a Piper Comanche. And it's a beautiful airplane. Anyway, and a Comanche you can actually see by the shape of the windscreen, being a full windscreen without a break in the middle. So you'll be able to notice it next time. Lovely airplane. All right, so that's us just getting out there. And these are both clients of mine, and they operate in, this was at the Soutpansberg Air Show, and we did a speed rally there as well. A speed rally is basically like a mini President's Trophy Air Race. President's Trophy Air Race is a big annual event that happens over 2 days, or racing over 2 days, and we do a speed rally, which is just a smaller scale event, but and only happens on 1 day. And so this is just one of the ways that we build the industry. I pull my clients in, and we all enjoy a fantastic weekend out. Both chief pilots of flight schools and subsequently moved on to become aviators in their own rights, or very accomplished aviators in their own rights. And then you'll see we've got sponsors like Villa San Giovanni and all that kind of stuff in the background there. And then this is the team that was leading the speed rally events, and in terms of the championship, this was Hendrik and Adele Lewitz. Husband and wife team. So I can just tell you, if you are thinking about coming and doing one of these speed rallies, you can even have your partner as a navigator. All right, it is possible. These guys are doing very well. So I know I wouldn't be able to. I can't even get to the spa with my wife, where if I'm asking her directions and that sort of stuff. Not that her directions are bad. I'm a bad listener. I'm just going to put that out there. Her directions are fantastic. I'm terrible at following direction. So what I'm saying is, there's all sorts of different teams that can enter into this. So if you're a fixed wing pilot and you haven't been to one of my speed rallies, get there. We've even got a helicopter pilot that operates as well. So even if you're a rotor wing pilot, Dean, pull in. All right. So yeah, just another way that we build the aviation community. And then these are just our latest sponsors. So you'll see at the end, I'm going to be putting up a QR code that if you would like to register on, we're going to be giving away at the end of the year a big hamper, and that's going to have prizes from all of these brands. So you'll see Bona Game Lodge. We'll be giving away a weekend away. Villa San Giovanni is the restaurant at Vornerboom that will give you a meal a whole voucher towards your meal. So you can go on a lovely date night at that restaurant. And then Aero, specifically where all of us can get together and network and build our brands and build the aviation community, where Dean and I chatted about this exact event and where the idea was born. Aero is also we're a brand ambassador for Aero, so they're one of our big sponsors. And then obviously Suntime Aviation, which I'm sure has a lot of drone some of the drone ROCs on their books. I know I2 is probably the other, is the big drone operator. I don't know how far along Suntime Aviation has come in terms of insurance of drones and if they're up to speed, but with enough sort of enticement, I'm going to get them, to open up and think more clearly about drones. So yeah, these are just some of the nice sponsors that you can enjoy prizes from if you decide to register on my QR code. Just some stuff that we do. This is the Speed Rally logo. And then obviously we don't only do fixed wing aircraft events as well. This is just another event that we're putting together. It's happening at Krugersdorp on the 9th of September. Are you there? Are you there? Yeah? We've got some SAP's buy-in to come along and fly there. And we've got the SAF museum as well. They're also bringing a Puma and 2 Alouettes coming along for that. And then we've got a response of over 50 aircraft helicopters that will be joining us on the day. So it's going to be celebrating the Fling Wing. Very cool. Okay. Please no drones on the day. Okay.
Some aerial footage there.
I would love some, but just we just want to make it as safe as possible, obviously. And this is another, because of this event, this helicopter fly-in, the South African Air Force Museum guys got in touch with us, and one of the projects at the museum is this S-51 restoration project. And I don't know if you guys know about it, but South Africa imported 3 of these in 1948, these old Sikorsky S-51 helicopters. And one of the airframes is still around. I'm not going to say it's operational, but it's in a state of a bit of disrepair, and these guys are working on a restoration project of that airframe at the SAF Museum at Swartkops. And the story behind it basically is that 3 of them were imported in 1948 to take care of the tsetse fly invasion. And tsetse flies gave off, I think, a bit of a disease to the livestock called Ngangana or something. And these were the first helicopters that flew in Africa and were crop spraying helicopters as well, or agricultural application of them. Who can give me the decade that it took place in? Hey, who got it? Ferdi. Sokkies for jou, Ferdi. Yeah, well. Trick question. So nice one. Okay. So it happened in 1948. So it's exactly 75 years ago. And the first flight in Africa took place. They don't have the day, unfortunately, but the exact week that we're holding our helicopter fly-in. So it's just nice and toevallig that it's all happening together there. So that's going to be quite fun. So we're having them come out and to help raise funds and all that sort of stuff.
One slide. It's on the 9th of September.
Correct. 9th of September at Krugersdorp Airfield.
You just pitch up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun.
You have to fly in with a helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah.
My son's got a helicopter.
Yeah. Just hold on to it like a drone, you know? Like Ashley Hayden. Only some people will remember that. All right. So let me tell you a quick story. Can I read the story about Alex, the ambitious drone pilot? Once upon a time, in the boundless skies of aviation, there was a young and driven drone pilot called Alex. Alex's dreams soared as high as the drones they operated, envisioning a future where Alex could master the skies and create mesmerizing aerial visuals. This journey towards a dream was marked by diligence, hard work, and an unquenchable passion for piloting drones. Alex's foray into the world of aviation began with an insatiable hunger for knowledge. They decided to specialize in piloting drones, aiming to capture breathtaking perspectives and tell compelling stories from above. As Alex honed their skills, Alex was found instructing others in the art of drone piloting, sharing enthusiasm for flying robots that offered a fresh view of the world. Opportunity beckoned, and before long, Alex was collaborating on projects that merged technology and compassion. Alex undertook drone missions for humanitarian efforts, delivering crucial supplies to remote regions and aiding disaster relief missions. The sense of purpose derived from leveraging drones for good was immeasurable. Alex's career trajectory seemed poised for remarkable heights, and much like the drones that were so expertly controlled. Then, an unexpected twist altered Alex's course. A sudden medical condition, like a lightning bolt on a clear day, revoked the medical clearance Alex needed to operate drones. This turn of events was a harsh blow, grounding Alex and shattering aspirations of creating awe-inspiring aerial visuals. The limitless skies that once beckoned them now felt distant and inaccessible. Alex's dreams were abruptly dashed and they confronted a challenge that they never anticipated. Regrettably, they hadn't secured insurance that could have provided a safety net during such unforeseen circumstances. The financial strain of the medical condition weighed heavily, jeopardizing not only career but also ability to support the family. As time unfolded, Alex's life took an unexpected turn for the worse, and Alex grappled with the daunting task of discovering a new path, one that extended beyond the realm of drone piloting that they cherished so dearly. This humbling experience tested resilience and determination, and Alex yearned for the days when they could effortlessly command drones through the skies, capturing the beauty of the world from above. Despite the adversity, Alex was determined not to succumb, and Alex sought innovative ways to stay connected to the aviation community, channeling expertise into mentoring and supporting emerging drone pilots who face their own challenges. The passion for drones remained unwavering, even in the face of an uncertain detour in Alex's career. Through this journey, Alex learned the critical importance of preparing for the unexpected. They recognized that the insurance they hadn't obtained could have offered the vital support they needed during this trying period. Though Alex couldn't change the past, Alex was resolute in her determination to share this message with fellow drone enthusiasts, encouraging them to safeguard their dreams and their families and their financial security. In the midst of adversity, Alex's spirit remained unbroken. She understood that the skies she once navigated would forever hold a place in her heart. Even grounded, her passion for drones would continue to soar, inspiring others to face life's challenges with unwavering courage and resilience. Thus, in an ever-evolving landscape of aviation, Alex's story became a beacon of hope and a testament to the significance of preparing for life's unforeseen twists. Her legacy stood as a reminder that even when life's winds shift unexpectedly, the spirit of a true pilot persists, driven by an unwavering passion for flight. So that's Alex's story. She didn't have loss of license insurance and unfortunately had to stop flying for a career. So that's just the message behind that. So, any questions so far?
What's the question for the pair of socks?
All right, what I'm going to do is scan this QR code, and the first person to scan it wins a pair of socks. And then, as I say, scan this QR code, fill in the details, and then register, and then we'll put you in the draw for the Pilot Insure hamper that will have tons of awesome prizes for at the end of the year. And that's my story, everybody. I want to just thank you very much for being here today, listening to me. Like I said, we do loss of license insurance, life insurance, all those different things. And how we do that and broadcast is to build the aviation community. And I'm happy to be here to be able to give you guys the message and to broadcast to you. So thank you very much, and I look forward to networking with you a little bit later. That's me.